Senator Manchin.
Well, first of all, thank you, Senator Blumenthal, for being so kind to allow me in. This is something very near and dear to my heart. It's good to see my friend, Governor Commissioner Baker, I think would be the proper term, and to all of you. I know you're all here because you care as much as we all do about the student athlete. But, you know, I think we're losing sight of the word student, because basically allowing them to switch around as they can right now with portals and everything else, their chances of graduating is slim to none. And something has to be done. So here's what we've done. We have a piece of legislation, Senator Blumenthal, and I've shared it with him and all that. Myself and Tommy Tuberville, who's a coach at Auburn, we've put a bill together which is called the PASS Act. And what we're trying to do is kind of put some guardrails, if you will, for boosters and collectives to make sure they're associated with the schools and they're in sync with the schools for the purpose of making coordination there. We're not trying to harm any student from able to sell their value. We just don't believe it should be auctioned off school against school. Pretty simple. If you got that value and that talent, you're on TikTok, whatever you are, get yourself a lawyer, get yourself an agent, and go to it. Just don't come to West Virginia University and then basically say, they'll give me this much, and now Maryland's going to give me this much, or so-and-so. So we're trying to take that out of it. The other thing is moderating the transfer portal. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship at WVU and got hurt very early. Back then in the 60s, they still kept me. They didn't have to. But right now, if I got a Division I scholarship, a Division I school scholarship, full scholarship, in one of the major sports, they're committed to keeping me for 4 years, giving me an education. They're that committed to education. The bottom line is I'm not committed to stay. I can leave the first month if I'm unhappy. They told me I'm going to play quarterback, and I go in, and all of a sudden you're going to put me defensive back. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm going somewhere else. That is not what developing young athletes is about. They're going to have to be structured and coached somewhere. So we're putting guardrails on that. 3 years. Freshman, sophomore, junior. Junior year, after that, go anywhere you want to. That coach has had a chance. Now, there's still going to be the waiver provision. I've spoken to Commissioner Baker about all these things, and if you've seen our bill, if not, we'll make sure you receive it. Providing transparency of how these are operating, clarifying the NIL activities, which I just talked about, providing additional protection for student athletes. The bottom line is our main goal is to get them an education, get them a skill set. There's less than 2% to go into NFL or an NBA or whatever they may think they would love to do. We all have those grander dreams. Doesn't work out always. So that's the most important thing. The other thing, I don't know if you all have considered that most of these student athletes are receiving Pell Grants. So that means that the federal government is paying through Pell Grants for the most highest valued part of Scholastic is basically the money that comes in through the large sports programs. And that doesn't seem fair to me. All these schools have other students that really need the Pell Grants very badly, but there's enough value within the system that would pay for those students. I don't think anyone intended that to happen that way. It just has evolved. I don't know if you all are aware of that or not. It's been brought to my attention. I think that something has to be corrected too. Enforcing oversight, also health and safety. And our bill basically says you will take care of a student athlete 8 years after they finish their playing days or curriculum or graduate. And that means it has to be a sport-related injury to the sport they played. So it'd probably be in orthopedics, things of that sort. We're trying to make sure they have the full value of having a quality of a healthy education and have a healthy life to provide for themselves and their family, but also the experience of being a student athlete. They're coming in as professionals now. The NIL has basically just about destroyed what I know the system was and how it was supposed to be. Heck, I would have paid WVU to let me go play. And I'm telling you, the love of the sport, it still has to be there. If it's all about chasing the dollar from when you're on Pop Warner teams and your parents are pushing you and all these, that's not what it was designed to be. So if they're that good, go right in from high school to the pros. Don't come through this college system and basically have an auction bid. That's not what it was intended to be. So I know everyone has different opinions about this. I've heard everything from Players Union. You want to really screw a school and screw Title IX and everything else, try that one on. And Title IX is going to get hurt the worst. And no one's even looking at that, to the point to where we're just worried about the two major sports that have all the money. So I've got a lot of problems, I really do, with this, seeing it up close and personal, seeing a lot of young men and women who've really made tremendous contributions to society, not through athletics after they finished the athletic scholarship they had. They did it because they were developed young people who were matured enough to go out and share their value. And that's been tremendous. I think, I've always said this, I never could figure out, when we were in school, we used to get tickets, and we would sell the tickets, and that gives us a little bit of spending money. We got $30 a month for laundry. That was it. I said, that's pretty good. We could almost live on $30 a month back in the 60s. So we felt good about all of these things. But then we thought, man, that's a bonus. I didn't expect that. And then I says, so-and-so, some of my classmates and my ball players, their own parents couldn't afford to come watch them play. And if an alumni tried to pay to get the parent there, it was a violation. Crazy. I said, how come your mom's not here? Well, my grandma, she can't afford it. I just said, we've got to fix that. So I know you all have good intentions. Guys, you got to help us. If not, we're going to lose something, I think, one of the greatest pastimes that we've ever had. And no matter where you went to school, no matter if you played or not, you're still there. It's still part of you. And you're rooting for the system, but you're rooting for the kids. And anymore, it's kind of hard to root for the kids when they're starting multi-millionaires as a freshman, sophomore. So that's my 2 cents, Mr. President, Senate. No, Senator Blumenthal's been so kind. We have a lot of the same concerns, and we have a little different opinion of how it should be done. But if you help us, we can make changes. I think we really can. That's going to be constructive. And Mr. Baker, Charlie Baker, my friend, I'm so glad you are where you are. I think you can put basically some common sense to this thing. I don't think we'd have never been there if we had strength of leadership back when this thing evolved to where it got to today. So I'm hoping all of us can work together and take the politics out of it. And I know it's hard to do that anywhere, but if you can take the politics out and be able to look at really what's our purpose, that student athlete should have the best experience in their life, to be a basically contributing quality adult to give something back. 98% of them could do that. About 2% will say and make their fortune in the arena. So thank you.